it would calm down this situation. It would get the situation under control, and it would pave way for the for peaceful transition. But I think they were sadly mistaken. The fact of the matter is that it further inflamed the situation, and now the MLAs are openly threatened that if anything untoward happened to them, they will be responsible for their own safety. And I mean, the visuals on your screen is clearly telling that the sentiment on the ground is completely opposite of what the government of the day thought about getting two deputy chief ministers. Because theoretically, yes, it was a good move, so that the government can be seen as a unity of getting every tribe involved, major tribe involved in formation of the government, in formulating policy and all. But the situation on the ground is completely opposite to that.
Absolutely. Misao, why are people opposing? Why are people opposing members of the Kuki community who are part of the government? I mean to say, in democracy, you can oppose, but they can also do their job. They also have the right to be part of a duly elected government.
Well, Kartikeya, thank you for the show, for giving me a chance to speak up of the concern of the community from the ground. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Oh yes, you are audible. Please go ahead.
Yeah. So I think this can be seen from two angles. Number one, they are venting their anger and frustration on the elected representative, the three MLAs, whom they feel that whom the community feel that we are being betrayed, because anything that is of community issue has to be taken, with due consensus among the people through the process of discussion. Now, what they feel is, without being, concerted on being to be part of this popular government, they have taken unilateral decision without consulting the people, for which they felt that the communities, this MLA, they are people's representative, and these people's representative, they feel that they are not being asked, they are not being consulted to be part of this government. The other part is, the community strongly felt we are being, alienated by the central government, because after having immense suffering and pain through these conflicts, numbers of our daughters, our sisters going through such trauma, and just recently, Neng Til Hing, who paid her life because of the trauma she faced during the conflict. Now, what we feel is, in spite of all this kind of suffering, pain faced by the people, what they strongly hoped was that the central government will also deliver justice. Now, the anger and the frustration that they are venting is of twofold. As I was saying, it's against the three MLA. The second is they are also expressing the displeasure and the discontentment on the central government, the way how things are handled without delivering justice to the people or the victims. How come the central government is, going ahead with formation of this, the popular government? For that reason, today, across all the areas of the Kuki-Zo people, there was a mass and massive rally protesting against the popular government, at the same time also expressing their displeasure, discontentment on the way how central government is handling the situation. Without what they are saying is, the biggest concern the community had is their security and safety. Now, what they are saying is, we are not against government. We are not against any kind of development that's taking place in Manipur. But what we are saying is, our security is always under threat, and that security threat can be only taken.
I'll come back to Misao. I'll come back to Misao. But I'll come back to there is one way to build the pressure on the government, but there is also another way to build the pressure on the people who are part of the government. Lamja Tha, your opening comment on what is happening in the hill areas, the protests which have broken out. Michael?
Kartikeya, the protest, yes, I can, yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, yes, the protest is basically, Yes, can you hear me, Kartikeya?
Yes. Please go ahead.
Okay. So the crisis in Churachandpur is no longer just about this thing, Hill Valley tension anymore. It is fundamentally because of the political failure by the Hills MLAs, the 10 MLAs. It is purely because of their disunity. And this, if you can break up, it's like the 6 MLAs are aligned with the KNO-SOO group, and the 4 are aligned to UPF-SOO group. So at this point in time, UPF and KNOs were divided into their area of influence with a watertight compartment where one group cannot influence the another group where the area of control. So the real problem here is because they have their own rigid division, and in their own areas, suppose in Kangpopi constituency where UPF are strong, where they control properly that peoples are not under protest. So basically, these on the matter of the resignation of the MLAs, they cannot come to a consensus. They don't want to resign. That is why they provoke the people. So MLAs who refuse to resign, and SOO leadership, UPF cannot take any consensus on this regard. So the consequences is just like, it is not only Churachandpur alone now, in Saikul constituency, in Tengopal constituency, and even in Chandel and Henglep and Saikot constituency. It's all people are under protest where they cannot go across the other constituency. Now things are very clear. The tension is like we're back to the square one. So earlier the narrative was like it is all because of the incompetence or the failure of the state administration under the leadership of the former Chief Minister Biren Singh. So President rule has been claimed, and then President rule has been revoked. Now, after the revocation of the President's rule, they knew very well that popular government is coming up for sure. So they have taken a decision. The Saikot MLAs, where it is a hot spot where protests are intense, it is volatile. They should not have gone to New Delhi and try to do something, some drama, and come back and act like a hero. Instead, they should have taken a proper unified decision if they really don't want to be a part of it and if they really care for the peoples. So on this matter, this is purely the internal problem of the 10 MLAs, so which should not be an issue actually for the Manipur, and which should not be an issue for the Indian government as well.
Brijesh, what do you make of it?
Well, I think, one thing is very clear, and, there's something which we have discussed so many times, is that, these organizations are having a far bigger say on the functioning, on how the hill area should move ahead politically than these MLAs. And I think, the government should have spoken to these organizations. The government should have made an outreach and tried to find out what exactly constitutes injustice. There has to be a reconciliation, there has to be rehabilitation. But I think, the entire narrative is stuck at the political level. The government is not ready to tinker with the territorial integrity of Manipur, but the demand is of a union territory kind of a situation is something which the government is not ready. But other than that, any demand which has been made by reasonable demand made by Kuki group could have been taken into consideration. See, if you want to make an outreach, the attempt has to be substantial. And if you go by the violence which is there on the screen, one thing is very clear that that these MLAs are not that solid a representative of their community or the voices of their community as the central government thought they would be. I mean, it's now the life of these MLAs are in danger, and they are running helter-skelter rather than them, reaching out to the community, trying to convince them about how important this particular step is and what steps the government intends to take. So I think, reach out to these organizations, social organizations, is also a must.
So, Misa, who is in control of the Kuki community? I mean, a lot of people are saying, then if the lawmakers who got duly elected, if they cannot control them, then who is controlling them? Who are the leaders?
Kartikeya, I think if you ask me that question, I would rightly say the peoples are in control. Because these MLAs, in fact, they are our representative. They are elected by us. And they are our voices. And if they are not voicing our concern, that's a big issue. So definitely they are leaders. But at the same time, they should not act in their whim and fancy. They should act according to the voices and the sentiments and the pulses of the people. That is something which we feel the MLA fails to do. Now, before going to Delhi, why can't they concern? Why can't they discuss the whole issue with the community people who are electing them? This, our representative, when they're not representing us, I think that there lies the big issue. In democracy, you have to respect the voice of the people. In this regard, we strongly felt that we are not being respected, for which the people, irrespective of small, big, all, I mean, of the ages, they come forward and they are also expressing this is their right, saying that why is our voice not being heard? That's the big issue. That's why I'm saying they might consider themselves as the leaders, but who keep them in that position? I think that should be made clear.
Fundamental question. There's a fundamental question
Yeah.
here. My disagreement is
That's
here.
fundamental
You know,
question.
my fundamental question is: these are the people who got elected on the BJP's ticket. They have the right to be part of the government. I mean, so they were elected by the people of the country. They you know, who knows that the Meiteis also voted for them. The Nagas must have voted for them. There is one thing to say, well, okay, we want separate administration, we want union territory, we want sixth schedule in Manipur. There is another thing to create pressure on the lawmakers, saying that why are you part of the governance? I mean, so that goes against the grain of the democratic process. Isn't that incorrect? I mean, so you can differ from me. But tomorrow if you hold a gun, say, Kartikeya, you cannot discuss this in the studio. And I say, why? You say, no, you cannot discuss in the studio. But that's undemocratic, na? 3 years we have discussed so many things. You have come here on my studio and you have said things which I completely disagree. But have I said, no, you cannot do this? So how can people say, no, you cannot join the government? I mean, say, other party also has its free will, na?
No, Kartikeya, I think you mistook me. What I'm saying is, we are not against the setting up of the popular government. What we are saying is, like, if you are being part of this government, I think there should be certain level of consensus among the people who elected them. And without being consulted, without being asked, and what is the modus operandi? That's something which is totally the people are blind about. That's why the people are saying, if you cannot represent us, and if you don't consider our voice to be something which need to be heard, then we feel you are not our representative. Now, someone whom do you feel it's not part of our representative, then what is the point of forming the government? That's the big question.
Do you think that someone is fomenting this trouble? You know, I don't want to get into this angle of, foreign hand, but is someone fomenting this trouble? Suddenly so many people are out? This is for Michael. I'll give you time, Misa. I'll give you time. Michael.
Kartikeya, you see, if you look the modus operandi of the cookies, like I say, wherever those who are a part of, those who are getting cabinet berth, there is no tension in their constituent. For those who did not get cabinet berth, there is some problem. But now the thing is, like, they have been using this as a political gimmick. Now, what these people are doing is, like, today you must have seen a Saikot MLA, Paulan Lal, warmly welcome as a people's chief minister for defying the BJP's command to be part of the swearing-in ceremony or to be a part of the trust vote of confidence motion. So all these defying all these things, and when an elected leader, responsible person, a legislator, trying to mislead the people, then it's bound to happen instead of trying to make them understand. So this really disturbs it, and in fact, this is purely because if they really don't want to join the popular government, they should have come for a consensus, wherein they have been there for the last 3 years. They have been unitedly fighting against the government, the chief minister of the time, and the Meitei. Now, why can't they come together? Now is a litmus test. They knew it very clear, and if they really mean this separate administration, and if they really mean for the voice of the people, then they should have come up. But whereas some part of the areas, it is like pin drop silent. They are not making any noise in 4 constituency. Now the focus is only in 6 constituency where some people are making noise, and a highly volatile situation is Saikot constituency. Now, if you look into it, the legislators should be accountable.
Well, that's the word, Brijesh, accountable. But how can they be accountable unless until they are allowed to work?
Well, I think it's a catch-22 situation.
They can't go back to their respective places.
I think there's a catch-22 situation there. The MLAs are bound to be accountable. Of course, they have been elected and all. But I think, the community is also demanding its pound of flesh, saying that your accountability also comes with responsibility to voice our concerns. And if you're not voicing our concerns, then you are not acting responsibly. I think, I think, most of these social organizations should approach the government. And it would be interesting to know from Misao, that what are those demands, which can be acceded to, which can be listened to, or implemented upon based on the framework of the constitution. I mean, barring tinkering with the territorial integrity of Manipur, if there are any demands, about people who have been displaced, compensations being given, the mismatch of the infra between the hill and the valley being looked into or addressed at an express fashion so as to restore faith in the Kuki-Zo community. I think these are the demands which are genuine, which are legit and can be done. But I mean, if it comes to a headstill of saying that we want a separate administration and the government is saying that there's no way we can give separate administration, for how long can this go on? And you will the people is suffering. People are suffering. Inflation has skyrocketed. Extortions are skyrocketed, and the poor people have to suffer.
Misao, now you can speak. Misao.
I would resonate Bridges, because what we demand is very constitutional. It is legit and legitimate, because it is very much under the Constitution of India. What we strongly believe is Constitution has to provide safeguard to the people who need safety. So for that reason, our voice is like, after going through all these kind of atrocities, all this kind of havoc. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Very quickly, I'm running out of time.
So what we are saying is, if this concern cannot be put up strongly by the elected representative who are our voices, we cannot accept them as our representative. That is our strong point.
Okay.
And our demand is very clear. There is no ambiguity. We want separate administration within the very much framework of the Constitution. That is, I would like to make it very clear again.
But Misao, any reorganization of the Indian state has been on the linguistic basis or the backwardness, never on the lines of ethnicity. But that's, we can discuss this till ad nauseam. But I'm sorry, I've run short of time. Maybe tomorrow, day after tomorrow. It's time for a short break. But once I'm back, we'll discuss what BNP leaders said.
When drinking water turns deadly, it demands answers.
What is really going on there?
News9 brings you
Imagine water that you drink.
contaminated drinking water in Indore, revealing a disturbing link to at least 15 reported deaths.
Typhoid outbreak in tribal areas. 104 patients.
After 15 people were killed.
Foul, frothy water from taps.
You would assume is safe. It turned deadly.
How is that happening?
Different cities. One national crisis. Bharat. Quest for clean water. News 9. In your interest.
In the third on point, we expose the BNP's hypocrisy and how they are using minorities for electoral gains. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party Secretary General Fakhrul Islam Alamgir has triggered a controversy. He has said that the BNP goal is not secularism but what he described as equal rights for people of all religion and belief. In an interview with Qatar-based broadcaster Al Jazeera, Mirza Fakhrul argued that secularism is not suitable for Bangladeshi politics. Conveniently citing country's Muslim majority demography, he insisted that minority rights